The warrior is for those juggernauts out there that like to sprint into combat and hit things with a big old hammer. This heavy hitting slow vocation can be tricky to master, but I've got everything you need to know, including animation cancelling and how to find that tricky Maister. Let's go! Let me know what vocation you'd like me to do now. Unlocking this vocation is pretty easy, so we won't spend too much time on it. You essentially arrive at Venworth, speak to the vocation guild leader. He'll start the quest. Essentially, then you just need to give him a sword, and the easiest way to do that is to follow the quest line and go to the mine, pick up the sword from the chest, and then return it to him, and you'll unlock the vocation. This video is sponsored by Bloodline Heroes of Lythis. Bloodline Heroes of Lythis is a hero collector fantasy RPG with a fantastic art style in which you can build your kingdom and collect champions to defend it. The absolute best feature in Bloodline is that you can create your own unique legendary champions by combining the bloodlines of elves, demons, demigods, orcs, dwarves, lycans, dragonborn, vampires, and more. Download and try the game for free using my link or scan the QR code and receive an amazing starter pack worth $20. The game is constantly evolving with frequent updates introducing new bloodlines every 2 weeks, so you can build your intimacy with your companions to create the most powerful offspring. This gacha gameplay system is what makes Bloodline Heroes of Lythis unique. You can customize your champions by marrying any 2 bloodlines in the game from any of the races to create 800 new fantasy hybrids. The hybrids not only inherit their talents and traits, but also their unique appearances passed down from the family tree and merge as one. You can experience unparalleled gameplay with Bloodline Heroes of Lythis. The game currently has over 4,000 champion hybrid options for you to create by marrying bloodlines. Right now in game you can participate in the exclusive Easter event, Beast Feast, where you can conquer culinary challenges, collect coveted beast ingredients, earn points, and stand a chance to exchange for exclusive clan hero, Yin the Hidden, and other rare items. And they've just launched a new official payment center, limited time top-up discounts of up to 15%. So download the game now for free using my link in the description or scan the QR code if you're viewing on PC for a special starter pack worth $20. And the first 30 players who leave their in-game account ID and username in the pinned comment down below will receive the Luxuriate Legendary Champion, one of the best mages in the game, to carry you. Thanks Bloodline Heroes of Lythis for sponsoring this video. So the playstyle for the warrior is a little different to the fighter, but there is some similarities. Now the main difference here is obviously the two-handed weapon compared to the sword and shield, but also the fact that this is a very slow, heavy-hitting class. Now, you're focused on dealing a lot of damage with high impact attacks and staggering enemies, knocking them back, but at a very, very slow rate. It's less of a tank than the fighter is, but you can still taunt enemies as well as dish out insane amounts of damage because of that. Now, there are ways that you can mitigate its slow animations. One of them is by comboing barge with your light attacks. It will essentially like animation cancel the end of the light attack combo as you can sort of swing and then barge and then swing and then barge. The other is one of the Augments chain of blows that once you have unlocked this, you can time your swings together to reduce the amount of like wind up time by like timing your attacks rather than button mashing. There's a couple of other things that you really need to know about this class. Like you really need to rely on consistent damage, as missing your attacks really sucks, like because you've got such a slow effect, and a lot of the animations are sort of designed for you to actually be hitting these targets. Now if you hold square to like wind up your normal attacks, or even some of your skills actually you can do this with as well, you'll do like a charged attack that obviously does more damage, so you can then even deal even more damage with the already hard hitting attacks. And relying on those hard hitting consistent attacks with the warrior is really the main focus here. So speaking of skills, here we'll get into some skills, and the rending sweep is pretty typical, and you run this basically, you spin the blades with enough force to cut down foes in all directions, and this can be charged prior as well. So speaking of that charge, now it's a really good skill to deal AoE damage to everything around you. I'm also a fan of Skyward Sunder, so you can jump up in the air and slash enemies down, very similar to the fighter's version of this. Good aerial attack, like it helps you hit enemies, say in the head, if they are weak in the head and you need to jump up to the bigger enemies or pull down harpies, that sort of thing. Bellow is a shout to draw attention of enemies. It's essentially a taunt to pull enemies towards you. And I also think Null Breaker is a good one here. This thrusts the blade upwards, dealing a solid blow that can knock targets off balance and render them unconscious. Knocking them off balance, like like having them fall over is the main focus here, because with the heavy attack, if you do like a jump heavy attack or just like a heavy attack on an enemy that is like staggered on the ground, you'll do like a unique animation where you'll sort of like pick them up with the weapon and like slam them back down and then like throw them. So a way to like trigger this effect more regularly is why Nullbreaker is good here. For your core skills, obviously you want to grab all of these, but I did mention Chain of Blows earlier, and learning the timings of that once you have unlocked it will really level up your warrior gameplay, as before you get that and until you sort of get going with the warrior, it can be a really difficult class to sort of master and feel impactful, but this does definitely make a difference. For augments here, grab all the warrior ones, the fighter metal to increase your physical defense, as well as fighter provocation, so enemies are more likely to attack you, are both good here. Mage's exaltation to increase your stamina recovery speed, and archer's endurance to increase your max stamina aren't bad either if you want to go those routes. The Vocation Maister for the warrior is a tricky one. Now this is a beastren named Baron, and he can be found in Baron's tent just north of Melve. You'll need to talk to him to start a quest line. It's a little bit of a long quest line that you have to go to multiple locations. Initially though, he'll tell you that he is going to leave to Batal. Now he's actually give you a really good starting warrior sword, which you can get, called the Life Taker, so you can do this as well. But once he does leave, he'll go to Baron's childhood home in Batal. Now you'll need to either follow the main quest until you reach a quest called the Feast of Deception if you want to get into Batal the like correct way. There are more unofficial methods that I won't spoil either, but essentially once you have been able to go there, you'll meet Baron initially in the Border Watch outpost training area, or sort of around Moonglow Garden or somewhere around there. He's often lurking between them, or at his childhood home, but you can sort of check these locations. And then from that point, you'll need to do another quest for him, or if you're anything like our editor Nick, who's getting the footage for this video, you'll accidentally decline that next quest from him and he won't give it to you. But if you increase your affinity with him with gifts, etc., he will still actually give you the tome that will unlock the Arc of Might skill, which is the Maister skill here. Now this channels every ounce of the user's strength into an almighty blow, consuming all of the user's stamina when activated. This skill is good, right? Like it does deal a ton of damage in that blow, but the downside to this is very similar to the archer one in that you lose all of your stamina, leaving you vulnerable. It's more punishing here because it is in melee range, whereas the archer, if you do lose all your stamina, you're at least at range, but here you're stuck in the middle of things, so you really need to be selective about using this skill if you do choose to use it. It can absolutely win you fights, you know, if you knock over enemies and deal this almighty blow to them, but it's just something to be cautious of, is that stamina management when you're using this skill. For equipment, you've always should be on the hunt for better gear. Now we did just mention the Life Taker you can get from Baron, but in the Ancient Battleground, sort of atop the Ancient Battlegrounds, there is an ogre here who actually protects a hammer called Black Matter, which is extremely good, that you should absolutely go and grab. There is also, if you kill the ogre, you'll get a pretty baller like Cyclops helm as well, so you should go there, grab the hammer, and then you've got the ogre as well. Something to consider here, it's exactly the same as the fighter, is that you've got a hammer and a sword, and swords do slash damage and hammers do strike. So you could have one of each in your inventory and sort of tinker between them depending on the enemies you're fighting and their resistances, but it's just something to keep in the back of your mind if, say, you're using a strike weapon that, you know, it won't be as effective on certain enemies, same as slash, but you've got the option to switch between them. For your rings, I would probably use the ring that increases your maximum HP and the ring that increases your knockback and stagger on enemies, as it's very important for the warrior. Some tips for the warrior as well. So stamina management we've touched on a little bit here, and it is definitely important because of the exact same reason it is with every other class, but it's probably not as difficult to manage your stamina as a warrior than it is with a fighter, because as a fighter you're blocking a lot, holding your block and like preventing your stamina regen. Here you're not doing that as much. It's really just a matter of being able to weave your skills in with regular attacks and barges, and doing that little bit of animation cancelling, and then using Chain of Blows to then trigger those like faster animation effects as well. But you've got a lot of flexibility there. If you're creating a character to play as a warrior, the bigger the better, because carry weight is so important, and the weapons and armor of the warrior are so freaking heavy, like almost 10 kilos just for a weapon. So the more carry weight you have, the absolute better this will be for this class. You could also and should also run a mage with a warrior for the healing and the weapon imbues and just the general support play, because you're going to be in that melee range. You want someone to sort of keep you alive in that sort of encounter. So mages as like your main pawn or a summon pawn can definitely help you with that as well. Mastering those attack timings is just so important for the warrior, right? Because you attack so slow, you hit hard, getting stuck in those animations does really suck. And the heavy attack can trigger that unique combo that we mentioned. And the warrior is one of those classes that has like a really high skill ceiling. If you play a lot of the warrior, you'll learn those attack animations, how to pull off the staggers and the knockbacks, and like comboing the barge in with your skills. And it's one of those classes that you'll probably see clips of online and be like, damn, like this class looks like a ton of fun, it looks like it's really hard, but then you'll pick it up and you'll be like really clunky and slow initially, because it does take a bit to get going. You will need to level up the vocation a fair bit, unlock those skills to really succeed. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is NorZZa, and I hope you have a great day.